Hi everybody, welcome back another technical demo around the Quarkus application. In this demo, I'm going to showcase how quickly you're going to trigger remote serverless Java application deployment using Quarkus. So a little bit detail around this demo. So we're going to use Knative, which is one of the CNC project, which allows developer to deploy and manage your application regardless of Java, .NET, Python. And then just like you have serverless behavior like Amazon Lambda, Google Functions, and Azure Function, things like that. And then we're going to use Tecton pipeline, which is one of the CNCF projects. Allows you can stand up like a cloud native and a Kubernetes native pipeline on Kubernetes cluster. And then we also using Java application based on Quarkus for building a serverless application. You probably have some experience to deploy your application to Kubernetes using Knative as serverless functions. In order to do that, you need to build your application like some jar file and then containerize the image and then push it into somewhere, a container registry. And then you have to create a YAML file, specify a Kubernetes manifest, like a knative serving. But this is all kind of in order to out of the processes, you have to spend a lot of resources on your local machine, which are your laptop and desktop. So you don't need to use the local resources anymore. You're going to just trigger remote Tecton pipeline on the Kubernetes cluster. And then that Kubernetes Tecton pipeline will build your application as a Java file over your Java apps and then containerize based on like a base image like a Java 17 or the other base image, and then it will deploy to enable serving as a serverless function on top of the Kubernetes cluster. Let's jump in the demo. So first of all, we're going to create a new function project using knative func CLI. So when you download kn command line, which is knative command line, it already includes function capability. So you're going to start command line knative func. And then we're going to create a new function project. So we're going to use Quarkus. That's why we're going to runtime -l Quarkus. And you can also trigger your function by two options. So one is HTTP, like a request response. The other is cloud events, which are more like a event-driven architecture. So serverless is more like a fitting in the event-driven architecture. That's why we're going to use cloud events to trigger this application. So single command line, it automatically generate my Quarkus serverless function project on my local machine. I'm going to change my directory, working project, and open my IDE tool just to quickly take a look at that, what my project looks like. So here is the Quarkus project. By default, we're going to use Red Hat Builder Quarkus. It's a more product ready Quarkus enterprise version, but you can actually change the Quarkus community version, whatever you want. So I'm going to leave the default project here. And then you can also take a look at what kind of Quarkus extension already download and include your project. So Quarkus Funky Knative event, which allows me to have Knative service capability, which means when you package an application, it automatically generates Kubernetes manifest such as the Knative YAML file, which is awesome for developer. You don't need to write it down manually, the Knative manifest. And then go into Java directory and you can find the function. It's a pretty simple, just process cloud events, but there's no heavy logic here. Just print out the output. So input, just messaging is a key, and the value could be any kind of variable. So most of the important thing when you generate new project using key and func command line, the func YAML file automatically generate, which is a key role how do you build application and deploy application to Kubernetes using Knative project. So let's take a look at real quick. Here's just the function name. It's a Quarkus-func, which I actually put into my command line. And then runtime Quarkus registry image will be updated when I build or deploy application invoked by cloud event. And there are lots of build environment variable. So Knative Func project actually allows developer or even SRE or platform engineers to build the application with a different tools, for example, build pack or sourcing image in OpenShift, and also Tecton pipeline like a remote to serverless deployment. So by default, which is source to image in OpenShift, the BP underscore all variable, which is a build path, and then the Maven S2I is just, one of the S2I almost. And then PVC side, which is gonna be used for your Tecton pipeline deployment. So you can actually increase the PVC size depending on your application size. I'm going to actually try to deploy this application directly to Kubernetes cluster. However, I need to make sure to verify my application functionality capability on local machine before I actually deploy the application to Kubernetes cluster. So let me try to build my application, and I put in the container registry, which is actually not going to push it. It's more like a container tab when I build containers in my local machine. So that is my query.io container registry. You can actually put in any container registry, like a Docker Hub, query.io, or Google Container Registry. As you can see, the new container actually generated in the build query.io Daniel 03 and 3.0, and then Quarkus dash phone, and the tag is latest. Let me try to use like a Docker or Podman CLI, and then you can literally see that the latest container image just created my local machine. I'm going to run the container image locally just to make sure the application working. And then just Quarkus 2.13.7 is just running. And this is one of the good feature of KNAME Funk. So when you invoke a cloud event, and you probably mostly preferred way to use curl command, but you need to remember what kind of parameter and then request header you need to put in there. But it's not easy to remember all kind of stuff every single time. So that's why KNAME Phone provide invoke features, just like a KNAME Phone invoke, and then you can set it a content type like a JSON format, and then data like a maybe input message Daniel O, and then format cloud event, and then last thing is my targeting function endpoint, which is my localhost 8080. Let me try to enter, and now I can see the data Daniel. Oh, when I go back to my project, and then the front info file just mentioned earlier, so the registry and then image automatically updated as a result of the build this application using key and func build. Back to the runtime, I'm going to stop it. And then now I'm going to try to deploy this application Kubernetes using remote build and deployment again, like using Tecton pipeline. To do that, let me try to go back to my Kubernetes cluster, which is OpenShift cluster. When I switch it to admin console, and then I already install a bunch of the operators. So one of the operator is Tecton, OpenShift pipeline operator, which is based on Tecton, and OpenShift serverless operator based on Knative. So this is a really good thing for SREs and the cluster admin or platform engineer. So you can automatically integrate your operator capability to install and upgrade and patch your Knative and Tecton pipeline, your OpenShift cluster. Okay, and then here's my like a sample namespace, which is a project serverless-java, and then you don't see any pipeline created on my namespace. So let me try to deploy my application came from deploy. Only thing I needed to trigger remote deployment and actually build include that is a dash remote option. So when I do that and try to create a new pipeline, it's literally create a new pipeline, Quarkus phone and S2I upload pipeline. When you select on the detailed view of the pipeline, you can see just two-step build and deploy, which is very simple. You can exchange it whatever you want, and then just click on the task, and then you literally can see the logs real time. So this is using Java 17 because I generate new project based on Java 17. It takes some of the time based on how big your application is. So my sample application is pretty simple. And then now you can see deploy step, the Quarkus is actually running. And then there are end route URL, just like an endpoint to access this function on the cluster. I just copy that. And then let me try to check it out, the Quarkus logs in the same version 2.13.7, and then we already using funky KNAME event as extension on the Quarkus. In the meantime, So as you can see, Quarkus function will be terminating automatically because knative serving provide scale down to zero capability, just like a normal serverless behavior, which is just some 30-second time period. So it almost 30 seconds while I'm keep talking, and then it gonna be just down to zero, just like that. And then I'm gonna try to invoke again, just change endpoint from localhost to actual route URL on my OpenShift cluster. Now let me try to change a little bit on the data to distinguish. So Daniel O on cube, and then when I invoke the it literally Quarkus application just start up in a second. You can see Daniel on cube. Let me try to double check my Quarkus runtime logs. And then you can see that Daniel on cube in literally the same application in the result. Let me go back to topology view. This application running on next 30 seconds, and then will be scaled down to zero if you don't have any network incoming traffic. Thanks for watching. If you have any question, let me know.